Good morning. Welcome to the Zia Wool Studio Buzz podcast. My name is Doc and I am coming to you from Albuquerque in the beautiful desert of New Mexico. This is a podcast about all kinds of woolly stuff about what I have dyed but mainly what I have been knitting or sometimes spinning or whatever else I do in the fiber arts. I'm going to start with my little cardigan so I don't forget. It is made from a commercial yarn and I use a pattern which most likely won't be available, though I must say I have never checked if it's on Ravelry. Because a lot of the knitting magazines have been adding their stuff, so maybe this is added. And this is how the pattern looked like, even though this was the picture and I made my own one-page thing. It was in a magazine called Stricktrends, and it's already 12 years old. It was published in the summer of 2009, and I have really made several of these because they're so great for our climate. It's like this morning, I have the window open, but it's not too cold, but too cold to be sitting here with very short sleeves. So I wanted something light. This is a blend of probably some kind of a cotton bamboo-ish stuff, a lana grossa yarn, and yeah, just a very versatile piece of garment. Yeah, love it. Made it many years ago, have been wearing it a lot. But what we all want to talk about is what I have been working on in the past weeks. And as you may guess from the title of this episode, which I knew for the past days how I was going to name it once I get around to filming, you may guess that there was a problem with the sleeves of my yellow sweater. The yellow sweater I'm talking about is one that I made up myself. I'm using Zia Wool's Dreamcatcher in the colorway BAM. No, the name of the colorway is Put Your Shades On, because it's such an incredibly wonderful and bright, beautiful neon yellow. The sweater that I wanted to make, what I had in mind is actually the reason why I ended up figuring out how to do it myself was that I could not find a pattern online. What I wanted was a light sweater, so I was going to use the fingering yarn with 3mm needles to get a light fabric, and I wanted a large neckline, a generous neckline, because that's what I like. If I get a little bit cold, I'd rather wear a shawl than with the sweater. But what I mainly wanted then was a pattern on the sleeve, a lace pattern. And so I made up the lace pattern, I made up the pattern of the sweater, and I was already pretty far in when you saw it last time, and I think it's going to be such a great sweater. Looks good, right? And the lace looks like this. And what happened was that I had started the first sweater and I was pretty far in. I just decided on a random number of rows to work the double decrease. So I decreased in every 13th round, I should say. And I tried it on and I thought, that's kind of loose. So the body was kind of, or is kind of fitted, not super duper, but the proportions did not work out. This was kind of fitted and this was kind of loose. So I thought, well, let's see how it looks like when I finish the sleeve. And I pretty much got done. I think I was just this far in, missing just 2 more inches or so. And I put it on again and I thought, I'm going to rest, let it rest for a day. Then I'm going to try it again. And then I'm going to decide if I can live with this or if I have to rip back. And also, the more I thought about it, the more I remembered I kind of had right away thought that my sleeve may have better been from the get-go a little bit tighter, so a little bit less stitches in proportion to the body stitches. And the more I thought about that, when I then ended up trying it on again, I decided, no, I'm not going to live with this and then not wear the sweater because I don't like the fit, but I will rip back this sweater and fix the problem. So for a solution, I came up with something which I think I have done before, and it's that I pretty much worked a symmetrical gusset under the sleeve, which created a little bit of a triangle here. And then I also, and yes, it gave me 10 stitches less. It reduced my stitch count to 10 stitches less within probably a maximum of 1.5 inches. And then I also decided I was going to decrease faster throughout the sleeve. And I, instead of the double decrease in every 13th row, I did that in every 10th row. And as I tried it on when I was working on it, I liked it so much better. So I knew this was going to be great. This was going to work out. And I love the way the sleeve fits now. I finished it all the way with my ribbing, 1x1 short ribbing. But then came sleeve number 2. I thought easy peasy, just fly through. I don't have a problem with sleeves ever. And then I am this far in. And then I will show you what I discovered. Oh my goodness. Okay, just wait for it. I'm going to make this a little bit fitting, and I'm going to pull a little bit so you can see what I'm talking about. See something? Yes, 2 of my pattern units are slimmer than the others. It has to be pulled. So this one and this one, I didn't do my pattern wide enough. So I was not happy when I saw that. I'm just glad I didn't have the sleeve finished before I saw it. But now I was very hesitant if I should just rip back to here, but that's pretty much starting it all over. And then I talked to an online group of knitting friends and I said, oh, I'm so mad at myself. This is what I did, blah, blah, blah. And then, and one of the women said, why don't you try dropping the stitches and knitting that only that section back up instead of ripping it all back. And then if you don't like it for whatever reason, or if it doesn't work out, then you can still redo frog and all and reknit your whole sleeve. So I thought that was a great recommendation, and that's what I decided to do. However, I haven't done it yet, but I will drop as much as about 13 stitches here in the middle, drop those down to here where I screwed up the first time, and then knit it back up. And hopefully I'm not going to have like a ridge or a weird edge, and yeah, hopefully it'll work. However, I had to pout a little bit, so it had to go into timeout for a little bit, and that's where it still is. I should put myself in timeout and not the sweater. Seriously. Yeah, so that's my beautiful sweater. Oh, here, I caught the yarn in the microphone. Okay. This is one of my beautiful sweaters. The sweater with 3.5 sleeves. And then there is this. Oh, I gotta find the angle where you don't get so much glare. I have started the California chipmunk, which is named after my daughter with her wisdom tooth surgery, because I made this same sweater for her when she was here and had her wisdom teeth removed. So I made her this sweater in a week. I showed it in the last episode. No, I did not show it. Wait a second. Let me sort my thoughts. In the last episode, I was telling you that I finished the sweater and she had already left, so I showed you the pictures. But in the German episode, I was still working on the sweater, and I had one sleeve finished and the other one just started. So that's why I could show it in the German, but not in the English episode. And yes, I will put in a picture for you just to refresh your memory, or if you haven't been here in the last episode. I will publish this as a pattern, but it is going to take me a long time. So hopefully it won't be too bad. The deal is that I have not published. Oh, I have published a garment pattern. Sorry, I got to sneeze. I don't have allergies, but this is a pie pollen time in Albuquerque, so who knows? Maybe I am reacting a little bit to the flying whatever pollen right now. Okay, back to the sweater. What I meant to tell you was that I would like to do a good job when I publish this. However, this is not my forte and not something that I have done a lot, but I would really like to do it, and do it in a good way. And also I think this one has to be test knitted, but I'm not one of those designers who can easily pay a tech editor or something, so I will have to go over this a couple of times and figure out, make sure it's right. But enough of that. I didn't even want to tell you about that. That's got to be so boring for you. So the deal is that I was looking, what yarns can I use, and I believe I've already shown you the yarns last time, but now that I started knitting, I realized I cannot use 10 millimeter needles like I did for my daughter's sweater, so I switched to 8, and I am using Zia Wool's Velvet, and I'm expecting to need 3 skeins of this. This is Quilling Fiber Arts. I believe it has a bamboo content. Beautifully hand-dyed yarn. And this is Mirasol Nuna. That's a yarn that will also give you fabric with a nice drape. I used the same yarn for my True Friends sweater by Vera Välimäki. And what I used for that sweater was this blue, which will also go into the sweater, and this brown, which already is in the sweater, in this upper section. And now I just joined in the next colorway, this orange. But I have a 4th yarn because, call me crazy, but I wanted to add this glitter stuff. I think it's a thrifted yarn, and honestly, from how the label looks like, I doubt this is still available. I haven't checked yet online. It's called, the company is Darn Good Yarns, and it's a silk yarn that doesn't give, I don't know, from the way the label looks, I don't think it's, yeah. Let me pull it. I also have it in this blue, and I can show you the label. It's called Silk Cloud. That's right. Silk waste yarn, fair trade reclaimed. That's what it says. It says it's a fingering, but it sure feels lighter. So I assume I don't have enough of the glitter to use with everything. So oh my goodness, I had to sneeze again. So then I'm going to do the darker one and kind of alternate without glitter and with glitter. And because I think I have more of the darker blue, I will put maybe the lighter glitter up here, then no glitter, then darker glitter, then no glitter, then lighter glitter. You get what I'm saying. Yeah, exciting. And I will show you my other very fancy yarn container. This is where I have everything. I have 3 skeins total of the Quilling Fiber Arts in a fingering weight. And then I have the Mirasol Nuna. I purchased 2 skeins of the orange, 2 skeins of this watery pale blue. Then I have my leftover, I had the brown, sorry, that must have been loud, and this blue, and well, 2 of the orange, I already said that, then 1 purple and 1 green. And I will also use this, which is from Purple Lamb, who is in Arizona. Wait a second, I saw the other day, she may have moved to Texas. I'm not sure. I think her location is Texas. I always thought she was in Arizona. So that's her, and then I'm going to use another ball of my own velvet, which is the Baby Suri Alpaca Silk Lace Yarn, 50-gram balls. Excuse me. The flying pollen, apparently. So I showed you all about the sweater. I just haven't touched it in a little bit because there came the blanket. And what I'm talking about is that my friends who had a baby 2 years ago are expecting again. This one is going to come in May. and they know it's going to be a girl. Now I knew, so it would be a girl knit, and I was thinking about using some vintage stash Debbie Bliss alpaca silk. I wasn't 100% sure because it's a little bit fuzzy, maybe almost too fuzzy for a baby, but then I thought, whatever, it's soft. It's I'll try, and I did try, but I had 5 skeins, 5 balls of that yarn. I started with this width, and I pulled out a stitch pattern that I liked, so I was ready to go. I started, and yeah, probably about this wide, maybe around a yard or so. And I started knitting. I had half a ball knitted up, and it was this much. So I have 5 balls of that pink, dark pink color. So I knew 1 ball about this much, 2, 3, 4, 5. So about this high and this wide, maybe, roughly. I just knew, I realized this is not going to work out. Okay. So I thought, okay, what do I do instead? And I opened my, well, I feel a little bit guilty. This was my guilty face. So my stash is spread out all over the house, and it's essentially endless because I could also dye up yarn to make something. But I went to the stash drawer here in the house to see what's in there, and also to the cedar chest. So I checked in the house first. Cedar chest was where that pink yarn was that had fallen through. Then in the stash drawer, where I have mainly projects and yarn and a pattern already lined up, that's where I found a bag with some hand spun alpaca yarn. It was a triangular simple shawl that I had started, no pattern. I just thought, I'm going to knit and make a nice, beautiful, cozy triangle and maybe some kind of a pattern at the end, and nothing crazy, but just knit with this gorgeous yarn, which was kind of like a white and a gray. It was this. I kept this one because I thought this way you can see what I had, and I overdyed it. I was a little bit like the mad scientist. I put baby in my brain, and I put in some poppy red, and I put in some pink, and I put in some neon pink, but I ended up with this. And you see already, while it's a gorgeous, gorgeous color, it's too dark. I did not like it as a baby color. I don't know. No. It has these lighter elements of the poppy red, and if you see the bright red, that's where I marked a skein. But all together, so the poppy red and the gray turned into brown with the over dyeing. Whoa! My yarn just got tangled up with the microphone. Woo. So beautiful yarn, but not for the baby blanket. And so I'm now thinking about what I can make with this yarn. And it is definitely heftier than the yarn that I showed you the other day, which is the wool that I over dyed in the lime green. That one is a probably more of a fingering. This definitely a DK or maybe even heavier. So I had looked into the Naima pattern by Anke Strick, but I'm not decided yet. I would love to make something with a raglan that I feel like that fits me the best. And also I like that I can work top down and use all of my yarn and possibly make something that's a little bit longer, like a coat. I could also try to replicate what I did a few years ago, which was also an alpaca cardigan, which you've seen. I've worn it on the podcast. It has a large, loose collar, and never added buttons to close it, but you could close it, of course. It's a jacket. And then I went top down with that one I made with wider sleeves. I mean, just anything top down I could also make up myself. So no decision made on this one. I like some of the elements of the Naima cardigan, so I'll have to look into that again, and then I'll decide what's gonna happen. But my baby blanket was still not in the making. I mean, I still couldn't make a decision what yarn to use. So I dug into the stash. I went outside to the garage stash and I opened a bunch of boxes, and I found this nice woolen yarn, turquoise. And I know my friends, they're very good, so I can gift them a hand spun, a hand wash woolen blanket. So that's what I did want to do for warmth. But the turquoise I thought was a little bit too thin if I was going to use the pattern that I had initially pulled out. But then when I was looking at one of the bins, when I opened that with a bunch of hand spun yarns, immediately I realized I found these guys, which have been in my stash forever. I hope I will not have a yarn avalanche. For some reason, I purchased these solid merinos, or I think this one may have either a little bit of cotton or silk added, but I don't know, they must have been boring as heck to spin. It's sure not my favorite anymore, and nothing that I do anymore when I spin, but also beautiful yarns. Little bit slightly different in weight. The brighter yellow, the purple, and this berry color, they might be a little bit heavier than the others. This was the biggest ball from the get-go, and all of a sudden it all came together. I thought I will make a hap, which then of course made total sense, because the first baby already has a hap, then the second one will also have one, and it's going to be very different because the first one was with a natural white, a lot of the natural white, and this one is going to have this color in the center. That's what I had the biggest amount of, and it works for a girl wonderfully. I'm a little bit traditional when I want to knit something for a baby. I don't think I would make anything blue for a girl. Forgive me if that offends you. I don't know. That's just me. I mean, everybody I love. If you knit, you can dress your baby girl all in blue. I don't mind at all, but if I get to pick, that's what I do. And I am actually pretty far in and with this hap. And of course, it's so amazing because I have my hap stretcher. So I'm going to be able to use that again. Super, super happy. Yeah, I have. Beyond the point of no return on the side here, and then I'm excited. And it's all hand spun, 2-ply hand spun. I said that, and I don't know how much I'm actually really going to use those solid colors. It depends a little bit on the weight and how well it matches this. But then I have all these samples that I did when I did a lot of the bats, when I made a ton of bats and I test spun and I had all these mini skeins. So I could use those. I can use these solid colors. There's a lot of options, and maybe I'll use this one then for the very outer lace border, where if you look at it like this, it's not a very good match, but I think if there's a lot of colorful other stuff going on in between, this will make a very nice edge. This is a lighter one, and the green would also look gorgeous, I think, as a border. That's the Project Baby blanket. Very happy with where I'm going with this. Did I ever tell you? I don't think I told you what fly baby blanket I'm making. I told you I'm making a hap, but I'm using the amazing pattern again by Gudrun Johnston, the Shetland Trader. It's the Hansel hap. I don't know how long this is going on, but she ever so generously has a sale in her patterns, all the patterns that she published under as the Shetland Trader, where you get, in honor of her birthday, every pattern is 47% off with the code, I think 47 the numbers, and then B-Day, all lowercase, I think. Don't nail me down. I don't even know if it's still ongoing right now, but I'm just happy that I made this decision. And as you can see on the picture in the pattern, that's a baby gift. Yeah, and the square may look quite small the way I'm doing it right now, but as you can see, that border is going to add a lot of dimension to the blanket. Another thing that I have done, I have to rearrange my things here a little bit, lives in this box. Yes, it had to be moved into a box because this project has been growing tremendously. I have been making more pen pouches. You may remember that I started doing these, and let me find one of the smaller ones. I think this is one that I showed you last time. The way I make these is really simple. I use hand spun leftovers, and I can use small amounts, and I don't need to join or weave in ends or anything, because find one. So like here, I probably already cut off where I changed the color, but when you change color, I think maybe here in between, you just leave your end hanging, and once it's washed and felted, you can just cut it off. So it's very simple. It's great to use up leftovers. Got to be non-superwash. I usually cast on 17 or 18 stitches, and I'm pretty sure for something like this I did 20 rows. You're gonna see in a video, I'm probably gonna put that at the end this time. You will see me working with all these pieces, but also you will see me create something like this, actually maybe exactly this one, from the unfelted state to the felted end product, but without the stitching. When I created this, I did same amount of stitches, and then I knitted my 20 rows and I knitted back 20 rows. I believe it was 20. And to finish, and you will also see that in the video, to finish, I folded it, I crocheted along the top edge before it was closed, the seam was closed. So crochet, crochet, join the two sides, the cast on edge and the cast off edge, crochet along the bottom, crochet along the side. For the crochet, I like to use a fuzzy microfiber yarn or a glitter or a glitter yarn, just for a fun effect. And then if you leave this end hanging, you may get something as pretty as this, where you can attach some beads. And here, I did a knot on this one with the heavier bead, but not even on the other one, because it's so thin at the end that you can just shove the bead on, but it's going to stay in place. The sizes cannot be planned. So after felting, I decide on if it's suitable for one pen or two or three. I mean, one pen. I know when I make the little ones, that's just for one pen. But if I close it, the ones that I closed with the crochet that I just talked about, those are usually for 2 or 3 pens. And that's determined by the width of the pouch. This one, of course, for sure for 2 only. Another one for 2, and there's some that are skinnier than others. And here's another one. I think this is fairly new. Yes, I just made this. This still needs beads. Isn't this cool how that felted stuff turned out? You never know, because I used 7mm needles, so quite fat, and I held together 2 handspun yarns. And sometimes you have a component in there, maybe a bamboo. If it's a leftover, I often don't put a tag on. So I don't know, hey, this one must have had some bamboo or something in it, and that bubbled out. I just love how that turned out. And if I do an individual one like this one, I always do the stitching for all of them. For the stitching, I use a cotton thread, a heavier one, and pearl threads. I have a lot of those, different colors. And I do this decorative ending. Hope you can see. And then you don't even see the color anymore. Nobody can see even that I used the purple on this one. And because the cotton won't rip at all, you can pull pretty hard and make sure your seam is very sturdy. What else did I mean to tell you in case you want to give this a go? Of course, you can cut this. Like, say you have a piece like this. I haven't made my decision if it's going to be for one pen or if I hold it together with this and make a 2 or 3 pen sleeve, 2 probably out of it. But if the shape is wrong for some reason, like I could do my seams until here, sew along here, there, and of course on 3 of the outsides. And I could even on this fabric end that seam here, so you could flip this over to have better access to your pens. Even though you don't need it, I just usually push on the bottom. If they're really deep in, I push on the bottom if I can't reach so well from the top. And you can totally adjust the size like I did it here. I cut that. It won't fray because it's felted so well. And don't be afraid if you try that and you're like, gosh, that fabric looks hideous. Watch the video at the end. You're going to see how hideous mine looked before I felted it. And then when you get it out of the machine, when it's wet, you will pull and stretch and kind of put it in a shape that you like. I have also then stuff like this, which I adore. Look at this. There was some mohair in there with the locks. That looks so incredibly cool, the way they come out there. Another one where I still have to decide if I add some beads. And I did some kind of a decorative stitching here. Even though I must say I got a gift from a friend today. Dang, I didn't bring it. She embroidered a pouch with my name, with a cactus, and with my wonderful beloved Zia symbol. Such a wonderful gift. And she's the one who does the awesome embroidery. Not really me, because this screams for embroidery. But I'm not very creative, I have to say. Okay, I'll show you a few more before you get bored senseless, because these are really for the people who love pens. Oh, actually this one is supposed to be really a needle cozy at some point. It needs to be lined on the inside and then have another sleeve with felted fabric or some kind of a lighter fabric. Yeah, same with this guy. Or not. Well, I just love this side. But it's really already shaped, so it's closed like this. But this edge, I kind of miss that it's on. I don't like that so much that it's not on this side, but whatever. I'll see. I just really like this. It's so much fun to felt these. That's why it's like, oh, am I done? Oh no, I'm going to make one more. This is finished, and I have hand stitched all of these. I have yet to see if it's doable with the machine. This is another one that was a little bit disappointing because, I just like it better when you don't see the texture of the stitches so much. This one, another one with a different fiber content. So this rosy color pops out of the green. Really pretty. Another one that is beautiful on one side, this side a little bit disappointing. I don't know, not too sure about it. But I will also, after I have done my line of stitches in the center, this will go in the washing machine again. And if I have a load of jeans, that's the preferred thing to wash with these because you want a lot of friction. Okay, that was a lot of talking about pouches that you may not even be interested in. I hope maybe you get inspired to write, right? My felted pouches. I don't know if you have looked a little bit and at what's in my background. You may have seen there's stacks of fabric, and that is also something that I have started. I had a request for sweater size project bags. You know I make project bags. There's still a bunch of the small size, sock size ones in the shop, but this woman asked for the large size, which I haven't made in quite some time, and nothing better than an excuse to dig in the fabric stash. So I cleaned up my fabrics. I pulled out a lot of them. They're up there, and refolded, ironed, viewed, tried combinations, because I usually do one side a little bit more of the how can I say? One side is usually more of a subject side that has a theme, like, well, I can't say, I'll show you in a second. So that's one side, and then the back side is usually more neutral. I always do a strap with a vintage velvet ribbon band on the inside, and the matching, of course, and then matching colored zipper. And what else do you need to know? And flannels on the inside. I've been working on the bags all week, and I thought by now I would have some bags to show you, but it always takes up so much more time than I anticipate. But also it is so much fun that when I start off and I think, maybe I'm going to make 5 bags, then I end up pulling out fabrics for 15. And I cut at first, I cut them, then I make I pull out different ones to combine, then you need to iron, then you need to cut the straps, and then you need to sew the straps, and then the last thing is you get to the lining, and I use flannel for my lining. And when I got there to that point, I realized, oops, I don't have enough flannel anymore. I have a little bit, without further ado, I just showed you one example. And this is how my lining looks like. In this case, it's a gray. And it has my label usually on the inside. Drop that strap. And then, of course, everything needs to be ironed. And so I had to go to buy more flannel fabrics, and then I had to wash them, and then they have to be ironed before I can cut them, and blah, 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 blah. All of this not interesting to you, but I wanted to show you a few of my fabrics because I just love them so much. I love all of my fabrics. And the reason why I have a large fabric stash is that I buy a yard of fabric, and then I make 1 or 2 bags, a larger and a smaller one, and then the rest goes on the shelf there. But then if I don't touch it for a year or longer, then it's like, oh, hey, I meet again with an old friend. And so this is the New York one. That's one of the few ones that have the same fabric on the front and on the back. But I'll show you a few more that will be coming. I'm hoping that I'm going to get them done in the next week. I can't swear because I'm the worst at judging how much time goes into them. If you like them, they're always fully washable. I wash mine a lot because we have cats and because I drag my bags around everywhere. And I don't do interfacing, so if that's something that you like, you won't find it in my shop ever because I'm the worst at interfacing. But then you're going to find some really fun fabrics and hopefully some combinations that you will enjoy too. The zombies are coming back. Hello, ladies. And the pinup cowgirls. And then I went to shop for flannels, and then I found stuff like this, which of course is wonderful to go with the pinup cowgirls in the pink. Then another, all the favorites are coming. All the favorites. The zombie drive-through. Love it. And then baby Frida. What's on the back? Oh, that has a super nice fabric on the back. That's on the back. Isn't that cool? Yeah. These are like, most of these are high quality quilters fabrics. And this one, in fact, is almost a collector's item because I don't think you can get these anymore. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I just love the Space Girl, and I feel like I totally paid too much for this fabric. I think in the pink color. Yeah. I used up the last of my pinup guys for the farmers, but that one is sold already before it's made because everybody loves it so much too. And that's my last bit of fabric for this one. Then what will also come is another one that everybody usually loves so much when I make them. It's the Coffee Divas. Like I said, all of these in sweater size. Well, actually, I say sweater size. I have a large bag where I have currently all of my sock projects stuffed in there. That works too. I think that's it. Oh yeah, the cowgirls in, well, whatever. You will see when they are done, hopefully. And then oh yeah, that's back here is the flannel for lining. Yarn. What's new in the shop? For the first time ever, I have lace yarn in the shop. Some have already sold, but I can't tell you which ones because I haven't shipped that order yet. So I will show you all. I'm never quite sure how many of you out there really want to knit with lace yarn, because I do have a lot of lace yarn in a separate bin stored, and I have a lot of this, which is Spirit, and most of the lace yarn is dyed up in solid colors with very few exceptions. But it's usually, I have just one skein of it. It takes a lot of time to put it in the shop, and so I'm kind of like, to be honest, I'm a little bit lazy about that. But this time I had just dyed all of these up, so it was a manageable amount, and I thought, oh, what the heck, you just put this in the shop. I have two of this beautiful poppy, and well, you see what I have. And this, for example, while I do have other lace yarns, this is Spirit. It's a 70-20-10 baby alpaca, silk, and cashmere blend that has 875 yards on 100 grams. And I do have others that don't have alpaca, but I really love this. I think this is what I use for my white out shawl, if I'm not mistaken. So that's in the shop. All these colorways are one of a kinds. So I usually like use, like if a dye bath has not exhausted, I bump it up and add more dyes to mix another beautiful color to use with the for a lace. Often I do that. And yeah, they're in the shop, and this is called Spirit. But then I have, oh my goodness, last week sometimes as a dyer, you feel like, wow, you've made a jump. You dye a certain way, and then you have this idea, you try out something new, and it evolves into another technique, and you come up with new colorways. I do that all the time. I come up with new colorways a lot. But what I came up with last week when I was jamming music is just so incredibly fun. So I wanted to show you all of those. And if you are a child of the 80s, I'm sure you will know some of the songs that inspired me. Actually, 3 are music inspired. This one is Brick House. Commodores, of course. And I just love how all of these turned out. You know me, I dye what I love myself, but I can't knit with it all, and that's why I have a business. Then there is Believer, and the Believer is there on a DK, which actually was a contender for a baby item, but I would have had to knit just garter, which would have been way too boring, or stockinette, of course. But this yarn is actually, it does not need anything other than plain. So it would be, I'm not sure if sorry, I never finish my sentences. Sorry about that. For the first baby of my friends, I made this little cardigan, which turned out so cute. So I'm thinking about making a garment, of course, for this one also. But then I don't think I'm going to have the time. So, but that would be such a beautiful yarn for a baby sweater or a little cardigan. Yeah, very untraditional, but yeah, still very just beautiful. DK. That's my cozy DK weight. I didn't say Brick House comes on Sugarloaf, which has that's a yardage of 550 roughly. It's a light fingering, and a cozy Sugarloaf, cozy DK, and then there is, I never said the colorway name. See, there you go. That's my head. This is the colorway Believer. That comes on Cozy DK and also on Sundancer, which is a fingering that has 465 yards. Just a word from the dye studio. Yes, there are spots where it's like, man, I don't want to overhandle this. These colorways are so intense that I have to rinse them many times. And sometimes in the rinsing process, they get a little bit more messy, like this one. So please don't ever knit stripes with white with these, even though I rinse them until I feel like this is every bit of the excess dye is out of the skein of yarn. Oh, that was the other DK, Believer. And Believer, by the way, is after a song by Marla Glenn, if you know that maybe, or you want to look it up. Then I have another cozy yarn, which of course would also be amazing for any kind of baby garment or for a vest, which is the hip thing right now, apparently. And this colorway is not named after a song. It's called the Enchanted Connection, because New Mexico is the land of enchantment. And so sometimes I feel like, okay, this is my way of connecting with the world of knitters out there. I love this colorway. Would look great on me too. I have also one more skein of Sugarloaf in the colorway Fireworks. I published a pattern for the Pinot, I think it was 2 years ago, which is a lacy shrug with a beaded edge that was kind of designed for the Sugarloaf yarn. It's free on Ravelry. Taos, great colorway. Great, which is Puppeteer. Puppeteer turned out completely different on Sundancer, because Taos is quite different the way it takes the dyes, because it's a Corriedale base. So this is a little more rustic, and I love it for socks. Superwash Corriedale nylon blend, 4 ounces, and usually you should get, if you don't make them too high, you should be able to get 2 pairs of socks out of it, if they're not huge. If you use maybe a different yarn for the ribbing and for the toes, or maybe only for the ribbing. I like my socks. Most of my socks are not too high, and it's just great. If you have 4 ounces, gives you 2 ounces per sock. That's really generous. Yeah. And here is the Puppeteer on Sundancer. Yeah, what can I say? Just makes me happy. Puppeteer on Sundancer. And I wanted to say something else. Oh, yes. Here's another thing that's in the shop right now. I hope it's not too crinkly, and many of you know this already. I have assembled mini skein sets, which are meant as samplers, Ziawool's fingering samplers. You get 11 minis for the price of 10, and the 11th skein is the luxury yarn Honeysuckle. I think there's still 3 of that, and I do have, I always keep forgetting about this one, Believer on Honeysuckle, 1 single skein. If you love this colorway and you need only 1 skein, you may consider this one, because if you want to treat yourself. Superwash merino, silk, and cashmere. Yeah. And because I told you about myself kind of collecting mini skeins, I have a lot of minis where I have swatched with knitting friends, and I have other mini skeins that are just because I send out little mini samples when I with my orders. So sometimes I have something left that goes in a bin that goes for the blankets. But then when I have purchased sets, I have kept some in this crazy bag, which I think was a bag that probably was originally filled with some kind of a toiletry or cosmetic stuff, and I found it in a thrift store and found the perfect purpose, because then it's in my hallway closet, and then I occasionally can look and enjoy this very much. This is from the dyer The Yarn at Home Mom, where she kindly sent me not one, but not just the one that I purchased, but 2 sets. But also I have a lot of my Advent. When I was a friend of mine once gifted me an Advent calendar, all hand dyed minis, and all of them went in here. And I'm gonna open this. Because I just could not remember the dyer. Bohemia Fibers. So the cool thing is what this dyer did, and I am not sure if she even still does that, but she had a theme. She put out a theme, and then you could send her a photo and she would dye yarn after that photo. But everybody who submitted a photo, you could choose you had the option of getting a mini skein of everybody's submitted photos, which I thought was so genius and unique. And I know that I got mine was this one, and I think this was after a vacation that I picked. And let me see. Oh no, sorry about the crinkling. The theme of yes. The theme was Life's a Beach. I'm very sad. She did this also for Halloween sometimes, but like I said, I don't think she does it anymore. I have to look again. I was in her group and I did it at least twice. So that's the story about my own little collection of mini skeins. And now I'm going to close because this is already horribly long. I'm sorry. I hope you still enjoyed it. And I hope you're enjoying this weekend. I hope you're enjoying your Sunday. I hope you are healthy and well. If you're not, my heart goes out to you. And we're all seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. So let's hope that, let's just be assured that better times will come. I have had a super nice Saturday yesterday. I was meeting up with my wonderful local knitting friends in the park here, socially distanced, and a lot of them are already vaccinated. So we'll be getting there. We'll be getting there, and times will change. So stay tuned for my for some more felting information, or just a little bit of enjoyment with piano music played by my son, who is, makes me so happy to listen to his piano music. And I hope you will also enjoy that, a bit of a video where I do speed it up a little bit, so it's not too long. All right, you all take care and happy knitting. Bye.